Radio.
So time to get into our discussion zone for today, and like I said, we're talking talk therapy. Where you find yourself having issues, depressions, and mental issues. You just find yourself in this whole new region that you don't even understand the way your makeup. Like you don't even know what's going on with you. Your self identity seems to be in question by yourself. So you really need to, at this point, the society that we live in, due to cultural assimilations and one would say westernization, a recommendation would be made. Okay, you need to see a therapist, you need to see a psychologist, you need to see a psychiatrist, and all of these recommendations and everything. But all of these things are, more of like a practice that is foreign, that we actually bought and we're using. But let's think about back in the days on the continent of Africa. We definitely had issues such as this. How was it tackled? How did they manage these situations? Clearly, there are. We cannot write it off. How did they used to manage it? And are we still using it? Are we still practicing it? Or it has totally faded off that all we need to do is just to depend on that one, that therapist that you need to go and sit and pour out your issues to, and yeah, hopefully things will get better. But Hafiz Gunu, my producer extraordinary, is sitting right here to help me get into matters. Hafiz,
Charlie?
have you seen a psychologist before, a therapist before?
No.
Psychiatrist?
Not at all.
Really? Are you saying you've never had a situation whereby, or that required you talking to someone
Nope.
privately?
But that's not... I've confided in people, if that's what you mean.
Okay.
Yes, maybe
A
tell them...
professional
No.
practitioner
that sense,
in
no,
these space.
no.
Wow.
But if it's to share my stuff, well, obviously I have a very closely knit circle, but
Right.
yeah, I do confide in people, but to actually see a professional in that regard, no.
Why? Or he hasn't gotten to that stage? Or you don't even see...
I'm not even sure it's something I would ever consider.
Why? That's serious.
Good,
Why?
good. It's not something I don't think I'll consider that.
It's needless in your space.
For me, it's not.
Okay.
Let's hope it doesn't even get to that point.
Anyway, yeah, we pray so.
But
Right. But talk therapy. Every now and then we talk about, therapy, and it's about seeing someone in private conversation, telling them about your whole thing, your life history generally. Because clearly, if there's an incident now, the person might want to take you back to the build-up, your growing, your early ages, this and that, things you've encountered. I mean, things you may have not even shared with anybody, but you end up sharing it with these, individual, professional, people for that matter. But taking it back in the days in Africa, clearly we had something like this, don't we?
yeah.
Or didn't we?
Before we come to all that,
Right.
you see, therapy is a word that gets thrown around a lot. Yes. What does that even mean? I mean, people. Mental health issues, depression, issues of anxiety, these issues come up every now and then.
Right.
And quickly you have someone look at you and say, hey, Barry, go see a therapist. And to mean that go see a talk therapist, where essentially what you do is sit and talk about it, guided by the professional, of course, guiding the conversation,
Yeah.
determining what exactly it is they want to get out of it for
From
they
you.
themselves, yes, from you, just so they'll be able to make certain recommendations.
Right.
And if there are pills or drugs you need to get, prescriptions and everything,
You get them.
depending on the revelations you make, and then they make these recommendations. Now,
Right.
we see it play out every now and then. Yes. Now, if you look at the whole issue of talk therapy, it's something that has a very unique or interesting relationship, should I say, with the black community. And the black community, in the sense, I'm talking in the diaspora sense.
Okay.
Now, when you mention therapy, especially in the black community, it's something they see as a white thing to do. Yes, they feel it's bougie.
Yeah.
Black
Well,
community.
yeah,
Yes,
that's the
yes,
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's often
There are
quite-
certain things that are not
Exactly.
meant for us. For
for them. I
yeah.
mean, it almost feels like, I mean, it's something. It's one of those luxuries you get. I mean, they call it white privilege. I mean, where you
Right.
just, as a white man, you're feeling down. And
Yeah.
you need someone to talk to. Blah blah blah. And you
This is a
basically
white man's mentality. Yeah.
you find someone as an
Confined
emotional
in.
and as an emotional dumping site, basically.
Just go pour your problems on them and
Exactly.
leave.
So that's the whole
Okay.
thing. And for the black community, it's like, nah, this is all white.
Mm.
Now, if you come over here in
Mm.
our relationship with such treatment as talk therapy,
Okay.
it's something we don't even really consider. I mean, until someone actually tells
Recommends,
you this,
yeah. Mm.
it's something. It's almost like an afterthought. I mean, why should I go and be talking to someone, a stranger for that matter, pouring all these things out? No, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So, but anyway, so with this behavior towards talk therapy,
Yeah.
one is tempted to ask, okay, so does that mean we didn't have a way, a coping
To
mechanism
handle.
to handle, issues of mental wellness, to issue all these issues that surrounding your mental health? I mean, we didn't have a way of dealing with it. Is that it? Now, it takes me back to a journalist,
Okay.
a lecturer, Andrew Solomon.
Okay. From
Now,
where?
yes, the country, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yes. Now he decided to do something on depression. I mean, it was something that he had been through, and for that reason, he decided to embark on a research.
Okay.
And this research took him to East Africa, eventually to West Africa, and places, just so to help understand the subjects more.
Okay.
And in his travelings, he recounts how he got to Rwanda. Now, when he got to Rwanda, he spoke to a health professional regarding this whole depression and mental issue and everything. And what he found out was very astonishing. Now, the thing was, this Rwandan health professional told him that, look, after the genocide, when they were trying to pick up the pieces, as a nation and get back together to normalcy, American mental health experts or workers came in, try to help. But eventually they had to send them away. They had to tell them to go, no, this is not what. Why? Because they had issues with the way American health professionals went about their work in regard to handling mental health issues.
Okay.
Now, for them, they complained that the American system or the Western approach didn't involve, taking time to sit in the sun, okay, or soak up the sun as it is. I mean, the exposure to the sun has very good healing qualities, especially in the right amounts.
Yes. Yeah.
They also talked about how it didn't allow for music and dancing to encourage or to enable blood flow. They didn't involve tagging depression or whatever it is as something that that can be cast out. Okay, and it didn't involve a whole village of people to let people understand that they are not alone in this.
Right.
What he said was, all the American health professionals, what they did was come, invite people into a room.
Yeah.
15 minutes, and people came out, and that they came out worse off than they went in.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So that obviously there was something
wrong somewhere.
Yes, in their approach. Now, if and this brings the question. Okay, so what exactly does talk therapy do? Now, I'm not trying to put it down.
Okay.
But I'm only trying to make us understand that yes, it is not the holy grail in terms of dealing with mental issues or issues of mental nature. Okay, because even with us, we had our own way of dealing with it. Now, in recent, if you still on Andre Solomon, he recounts how he went to Senegal.
Okay.
Yes. Now, in Senegal, among the people of Lebu,
right,
they have this ritual, a healing ceremony they call Ndob.
Ndob.
Yes.
Okay.
It's spelled Ndeup.
Okay.
I don't know if it's French or it's pronounced Ndob. Now, what it involves, what this ceremony involves, is that you have, a cycle of drummers. And the person in distress, gets into the middle.
Okay.
And then they drum, they sing. It also involves animals and livestock and grains and everything.
Right.
So what it does is that in this whole ritual, whatever it is they do, eventually you dance, you chant, you say certain things. You even talk to your spirits and everything.
Okay.
So depression here is seen as something that's an evil spirit that is making someone unwell that needs to be cast out.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's seen in a supernatural way. Is that
Exactly.
it? Right.
So not just depression, but any form of mental affliction, whatever it is you are going through,
Okay.
is seen as something that an evil spirit that has possessed you or something that after the whole ceremony and everything, it should be cast out.
Right.
So when the person goes through that, then they come out clean. So what it means is that you can see clearly that depression or mental issue is a universal phenomenon. It's something every other society has come into contact with. What is different, however, is the way that is dealt with. And dealing with it, obviously, is culturally specific.
Yeah.
So what works for, say, someone in the West
wouldn't
does not necessarily mean
it will work here.
Me.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Okay, so if what Westerners do, Europeans and everything, what they do is, okay, go and see a specialist, talk about it, talk about your feelings, blah blah blah, and then you come out.
Yeah.
And what we can do here is dance it off. Dance it, soak up the sun, walk
mingle
around.
with family, friends, and community members.
It will heal you. Remember, there's an ancient saying that, to heal a wound, you need to stop touching it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what they feel is, what therapy is doing is, the Western therapeutic methods is doing is touching it.
It goes back to, talk about it, how it all
Relive
went
it,
down, and la 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 la.
Not everyone wants to talk about that. Okay. And so when you have that, then there's that cultural element. Remember, even depression itself, Jordan Peterson, a renowned Canadian psychologist, he said, look, depression is very rare to occur in an isolation. So let's say, you know how people say, I'm depressed, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
He says, look, he said that depression is something that is very rare to occur just like that. What you have, what people mistake for depression, is a lack of fulfillment, okay, or a certain trajectory as an adult.
Okay.
That you are lacking certain things that triggers something like that.
But it's not actually depression.
Yes. But he says depression also occurs, but it's very rare, but it does occur. So he says, so for an adult that sees that A, maybe they have no friends.
Okay.
B, there are no kids.
Yeah.
Or a career trajectory that is
something
going nowhere.
Is not working out in one's
job,
life.
nothing, no intimate relationship, nothing. Okay,
so
a person that is lacking any of these things would potentially be down and be like, I'm depressed.
I'm depressed. Yeah, when you're not actually depressed.
Yes. So will self-diagnose themselves as being depressed and everything. So, and if you look at even the way it is done, talk therapy and talking to people about the way you feel.
Yeah.
You see, there's a reason it works in maybe Western societies.
Yep.
It's a more individualistic society.
Right.
Okay. Everyone is living their own lives. Okay. Remember last week we had a conversation with someone here, a Ghanaian trying to gauge their experiences, how life over there compared to here.
Yeah.
And what did he say? Remember he talked about his experience in the New York.
Fall in the subway and nobody cares.
Exactly.
The number of people who may rush to you to rescue you with very lesser as compared to here.
People don't really invest their time into other people's lives.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Unlike here, even in the way we lived,
it's communal.
It's communal. Exactly. That's the word. So you have people, some would say being nosy, but that's thing.
You. That's us.
Okay, you are living in a compound house, and you know what exactly is going on in the next room.
Oh yeah, you know exactly what's happening there.
Yes, that is how close the communal that we are. So when someone is going through, so the whole idea for this approach is that is to signal to you that you are not alone in this fight.
Right.
I don't know in this whole cleansing spirit. So aside the whole spiritual connotation and everything, but having people gather around, put a stop to whatever it is they have doing on the day. And come out, because usually it's done in the full glare of the public. Hopefully, anybody listening to me should check out some of the videos on YouTube. Very interesting stuff. It's done in public with a large gathering.
You mean the one done in Senegal?
In Dub,
okay.
Yes. You have people coming out and then watching the dance and the ritual and everything going on. Yes. Well, for those that are more animal rights activists, I would say,
Yeah,
be
the
careful.
slaughtering and all.
Yes,
So,
they might not like
but
the
my
images.
question is, so I don't believe everything in terms of mental issues and trying to get the wellness out of one.
Mhm.
I don't think most of the time, most cases, eh, the cases are spiritual. I don't think so. So if it's not spiritual, do you need to still go slaughter an animal and sit and dance and everything?
You see, if
Bec-
you go into
because
dabble into spirituality,
that may be
Mhm.
a traditional way of doing it,
Mhm.
and there may also be a Western way, or I don't know if one would say a civilized way of doing it. By
Really?
not going, no,
Come on now.
I'm just speaking in the
Wow.
mind of someone out there. Would say because a number of times I have heard people refer to certain practices that
As a cake,
we
yeah.
do as a cake as uncivilized.
Mhm.
You get me? So what would then be the case?
Look, I even started by saying that, look, it's not, let me just put it this way, it is not an either or situation.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not putting one down or raising one above the other.
Mm.
I'm only saying that
Mm.
there are so many ways of actually doing things. There
Oh.
are ways or other ways of doing things.
Okay.
Okay, yes, maybe talking helps with some groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, we are individuals in our own way. We process emotions differently.
Okay.
The cultures are definitely not the same.
I agree.
So you'll be okay paying to a stranger and
Mhm.
sitting and talking about your life.
Mhm.
And more often than not, I mean, you sit down with this person, a specialist for that
Okay.
matter,
Mm.
and every now and then they show full interest. They switch between full interest and boredom. And
Okay.
I mean, every now and then they are taking
I
a
don't-
look at the
But
the wall clock behind you
I don't think every
to tell you it's time, and then you
Oh,
leave.
I don't really. You've not been to.
No, that is my understanding of
Well,
that.
that is your understanding, not my
I don't know if you
understanding.
get me.
So, yeah.
That is the understanding I have of it.
Mm.
Now, another person will see it. Okay, well, in the African sense, it is spiritual, definitely spiritual for him. So let me go for the cleansing, and afterwards. And the thing is the communal bit, having to move out. Dancing under the sun. Okay, music. Okay, music does a lot for people, not just hearing pleasant sound. No.
Right.
It does a lot more than just you dancing around and everything.
Mm.
So that is the whole import there. So you might not talk about it, but it makes you feel a whole lot better.
So the conversation here, I want to believe that
Yeah.
you are looking to encourage those practices that we used to do before to tackle issues of mental, instability and depression and everything. We should reconsider them as well in handling issues such as this.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Because, like I said before, talk therapy isn't the holy grail in terms of dealing with. Because
I agree.
obviously we had a way of dealing with it.
Yeah, we
We
do.
have- yes. And just because it's what the Western society does
Mm.
doesn't make it the best.
The
I mean,
ultimate.
they won't have issues of depression if that were the case. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you have the best psychologists there that will sit with you, blah blah blah, and talk.
So yeah.
So, and using the case of the Rwandan, for instance, because yes, I mean, we are talking about the people that just got out of a genocide where
Yeah.
close to 1 million people
and
died,
people clearly need healing.
needed healing,
Right.
and then you come in
Mm.
and tell me to talk about it. For
Yeah,
what?
I wouldn't want to relive it.
I don't even get me.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe talking about it helps someone, but not
So
everybody.
so did you find out how they got out of the whole situation? How they were,
Well, similar to the reconciliation commission we had over here.
Okay.
Yes, I think Rwanda also had something similar there.
Right. So
Yeah,
the
but-
reconciliation thing, that's where like everybody gets together and you talk about it or what?
Yes. They even had their local courts where people, when they talk about it, even the perpetrators, some of them, I mean, they would come out and then you either choose to forgive them or.
So that's the African way of doing things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's much more not just African, but that was the way they chose to deal with it. Okay.
Okay.
Confront it head on, rather than sitting in an enclosed place,
Yeah.
1-on-one, and talk about it and
Yeah.
shed some tears and everything.
Right.
No. So they'll much rather deal with it like
Okay.
that in that sense. So yes, talk therapy might work for some people, but it's okay because at the end of the day, we are all not the same.
Right.
Okay, our cultural surrounding or upbringing differs.
So
It goes a long way to influence the way we process our emotions.
okay.
Yes.
But so now that's, I mean, you made mention of the fact that factor where we always, most of the times, or not even most of the times, think about, the supernatural bit of it. But how do we get out of that stage? Because I believe not every situation or not every condition has to do with, an evil spirit possessing one and everything.
A lot of them don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we move away from that? Because you may be applying a remedy or misapplying a solution to a problem,
Okay.
right? Because if the person is clearly not suffering from an evil spirit possessing them, and you're slaughtering, sheep and pouring whatever, doing your own thing,
Remember,
you may be misapplying the solution to the problem, to a problem.
Even going for talk therapy, it's a psychological diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's someone sitting and based on your narration of the things that go on in your head,
Right.
they make certain prescriptions. They tell
Right.
you this is done this way, this is done that way.
Mm.
At the end of the day, sometimes even the drugs don't work.
Okay.
It's not
a guarantee,
that it's
right.
going to work.
Mm.
Okay, but based on your account of events and everything happening on,
Okay.
then they prescribe these things.
Right.
So if you look at the way we do it
Mhm.
over here too, it's more mental, knowing that yes, after all of that, yes, you don't feel a spirit leaving your body, but some way somehow you leave the ceremony, knowing that because in the process of all this, if you watch the whole ceremony how it's done,
Yeah.
once you tell your spirits that yes, you want them to leave you, but you are aware something. There's this chance they say.
And
That's the interpretation. So you leave, and psychologically you believe that things are going to get better.
It has left your body.
It has left your body.
But others
Yes.
would also argue in terms of religious basis. This may be, peculiar to the traditionalists, right? A Muslim or a Christian wouldn't want to see some of these things happening. Well, then all of that. So how do you deal with such a situation? Is there a way? Because clearly, if we move towards this tangent, we're looking at the traditionalists
But
doing
even
this.
even these religions have their own way of doing things.
Mm,
That's why religion is a touchy area.
yeah.
So usually I'm very careful when I discuss religion. But even with religious, religions, they have
Yeah.
their own way.
Yeah,
Yes, the Muslims have what they call ruqya and things for people that are bipolar. Actually,
Yeah.
yes. I don't know about Christians though, but they also perform
You see,
exorcism and
that is
other
where
things.
that is where my argument comes in. Now, a bipolar person, you think is a possession? A spirit
I'm
has
saying that's-
possessed?
You might be insulting the sensibilities of someone's religion. I'm trying to answer that. That's what I'm saying. Religion is a touchy area. I don't
Okay.
want to go there. Yes. But I'm only saying that it's not an either or situation. Making talk therapy, because fine, someone is okay with opening up. They might just want someone to talk to. But in the society we find ourselves, you want to run out of people to talk to.
Okay.
Because every now and then you have even people asking you questions. So it's not exactly something that people, are craving for. Okay, unlike in more Western societies where everyone is isolationist, here it's more communal.
Okay.
Yes, so finding
So-
someone to just talk to and pour all of these things on. It
So you're
helps.
saying we should get back to our own communal way
Of dealing with our
with
issues.
issues.
Yeah, yeah,
Because at the end of the day, your issues out there. So
It's
what
acceptable.
are you hiding, right?
yeah.
But I mean, there's that privacy of course factor in there because I want to
but-
maintain my privacy. I don't want my issues to just be roaming
No,
around.
but we all confide in people. Okay, you might not even do it in a therapeutic session. Okay, the fact that I'm able to confide in you, tell you certain things I'll normally not tell someone like maybe Wendy or Ima here. That in its own self is cathartic.
But
Okay.
do you have a guarantee that that person wouldn't tell another person?
That's what I'm saying. Telling you,
Uh-huh.
because it's not everyone you. I mean, there are people who tell certain things and those you don't.
Yes.
Everyone has a vetting system, right?
Right.
So based off of that, you tell people certain things and withhold certain information. So and there are times too you just tell a person. There are so many things your friends know about you that your parents don't even know.
Right.
Why? That's because of the vetting system you've put in place.
Right.
So we all have people we share the deepest our fears with and everything. Something
And comfortable
yes,
doing so.
exactly. Some find that in their partners. Some find
Yeah.
that in their friends.
Their friends, right?
But either way, people do share. That's what I'm saying. They don't necessarily have to go and pay and sit and cry about it.
And
But
yeah. To some, it actually sounds so a certain kind of way, you know. It's like I can sit and talk, and like you're talking to someone who can actually help. But speaking to a friend who you know
Because-
every now and then, and you
because personally, me even talking about this, it just hits me. I mean, I have this friend, my best friend actually. When I call him, I mean, we may have not spoken for like 3-4 months, but when I call him, it's like he never left.
it was just that you guys still vibe.
Like just like that, and we share. I mean, the deepest part of our lives just in that 5 or 4 minutes conversation, and we are back to living our separate lives.
Okay, so we shouldn't always enclose ourselves in a space where you certainly need to see a therapist or a psychologist to be able to fix your problem or to fix the
All I'm
situation
saying
you're
is, do
facing.
you okay? If it's
What suits you.
exactly,
Right.
if it's therapy that you need, go get it. I mean,
Okay.
it's
As a professional thing that
Yes.
would help you, yeah.
Yes.
That can help you actually.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, I mean, we are all about promoting African values.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So
let's not
let's-
make it look, because every now and then when mental issue comes up, oh, Africans are dull on mental issues. It's almost like we don't care.
Like we've never had
Exactly.
an attempt on fixing issues like that.
Yes, it's almost like
Right,
oh,
that is true.
Africans, because I mean, there's a reason. Remember, you call it ziara, right?
Yeah, visitation, yes.
Yes, just visiting someone is a form of mental care.
Mm, mm,
I don't know if you get me.
yeah.
But they just didn't know how to put it.
Mm.
Okay, so it's our time we dismantle this whole idea of Africans are not big on mental well-being. No, we are.
And you see, that's
We
the
might
thing.
not sit
this
to pour out our
Zara
frustration
thing,
on
as
them.
you mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, there's this uncle of mine that before you visit him, you need to call him. Okay, that wouldn't be a Ziara in the other hand because you just told him and he has to check his time, his schedule, and blah, blah, blah. But with a Ziara, you just show up unannounced, like, you remembered me today.
See?
So, like that sense of bliss, you know, just takes over their body. Like, wow, I am important. So at that time, if they're having certain issues, thinking they've been isolated, family has
Exactly.
forgotten about them, it comes back to them again. Like, you know what, you're still in the game. But I think it's a very important conversation.
Yeah,
we
so
really need to
making
have
all
that.
these random house calls is part of it. It's part
Right,
of it. So
right.
we may have not formalized it or have a name we call it, but definitely we are aware of mental issues as Africans.
African what? Therapeutic.
Behave yourself.
All right, this is where, you know, time will permit us, but very interesting, insightful conversation. I wish we had time. We could have, you know, gone on and on because there are a lot of examples that we can actually, you know, relate this whole conversation to. But yeah, it is talk therapy, and we're looking at the African context, how back in the days we used to, and we still do in certain areas. It's just that because of the, you know, too much consumption of Western, you know, cultures and all of that. Okay, go to but no, I think if you go deep down here in Ghana, you'd find some people also having their own way of dealing with some of these issues, you know, and I think we just need to go and give props to our cultures that have been there for eons, helping us, supporting us, and we just don't need to let it go like that. But thank you, Hafiz, for joining me, and thank you too for listening. The show was Africa Daily on Africa Global Radio.